We're live. Well, good evening. This is Facebook Live, Black Sheep Harley-Davidsons for Christ. I'm Bill Ream, Central Oregon chapter in Bend, Oregon. We're actually at Crooked River Ranch. I've got some of my chapter here tonight. I'm going to introduce them. This person here is Lisa Kennedy, okay? Ken McLean's on. Good to see you, Ken.
Hi,
Rod
Rod.
Meyer's on. This is Brian Phillips. Right. Brian patched just a couple weeks ago at the Joe Fetters Memorial Ride, him and his wife. Behind me is Exxon. Raise your hand, Exxon. Nick Valdez. And behind him is Mike Craig. And then right in front of him is KJ. We call her KJ. Her name is actually Kelly. And this is a mentoree here. He is not a black sheep yet, but he is going to patch in November. His name is Daniel Ego. And then Mike Taft is the one remaining black sheep. And so that is the people that are present here. We are actually 19 members. And so we wanted to come to you tonight and kind of talk to you a little bit about what's been going on in our chapter. And so Marty is going to call in and ask some questions, okay? And my number is 541-604-9205. And I wanted to have my representation from my chapter instead of just me. I want to hear from a little bit of everybody as to how they would answer these questions that Marty's going to ask us. So let me make sure my phone is up, and here we go. So let me make sure my phone is up, and here we go.
Hello.
Hi, Marty.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good.
Good.
So you look pretty good. I don't know, the guy in the red shirt's kind of scary.
Yeah. What can I say, Marty?
He's looking a little thuggy, you know, like you know, that lady leaning in. She's kind of scary looking too. And then of course the guy in the back with the hat. You know, wow. Yeah, you guys will pass.
Yeah.
Good to see you guys again.
You too.
Good to see you.
Well, we aren't actually seeing you. We're just hearing you.
Oh. Well, take my word for it. I look gorgeous.
Yeah.
So do we.
So do you. Okay, good. For those that are listening in, I was just up with these guys for a wedding. You may remember that, guys. And it was really good to see them and to get to know them. And I suggested that we bring all of these guys, or as many as they could cram into that little room they're in, to be able to introduce them to you and hear kind of what they're doing up there in Central Oregon.
Cool.
Your turn, Bill.
Okay. Well, ask me a question.
So, what do you think about Kavanaugh?
Really?
Okay, wait. No.
Kavanaugh who?
Let me give you an easier question.
Is that a canned salmon?
We have some chapters that get stuck around the 4, 5, 6 membership thing, and then they run into problems. What do you attribute your growth to? How many members do you have now?
We have 19.
Okay, and what do you kind of attribute that growth for a relatively small area, really?
You guys take that. I'm not gonna. I'll answer it last. I want to hear from you guys.
If someone answers it, introduce yourself before you answer. So our
Go
guests
ahead,
will
Mike.
know.
Answer that.
Mike
I'll
Taft.
take it. I'm Mike Taft. I was president back when Joe was just getting sick. Chuck had just broken his leg, and I had Bill and Bob. So there was about 3 or 4 of us, and we didn't have enough arms and legs to cover everything. It was kind of difficult at times. But when we went ahead and made the full move to going ahead and riding with Hog and spending time at the dealership, things started to change quickly. When we did the Pacific Northwest Rally, things took off. I mean, it literally flew. But we were I don't know, right on with what Black Sheep wants us to do with Hog and the dealership in spending time with them, in riding with them, and it's paid off.
So would you guys all agree that starting to really attach yourself to the dealership made a difference?
Yes.
Absolutely.
What we're going to say, Lisa.
The other thing is that having the Black Sheep Rally here in this tiny little town that we had opened up a lot of people to being interested. I know KJ kind of got interested in it at that time. Jack and I did as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think seeing the Black Sheep being so cohesive when you were here in such a large group, it made us want to be a part of it as well.
Wow, Lisa, you're very articulate for such a shy person.
I know, right? I'm working on that. Hi, Diane.
What about some Exxon? What's your take? What's your take on when did this thing start to take off? You're fairly new, I know, but still.
Yeah, I'm going on Exxon here. Going on about 2.5 years now. My first interaction was at that rally over in Crooked River Ranch, kind of with Jack and Lisa, Rod Meyer, KJ. That was kind of my first experience, just being around a big group of bikers that were believers, and just the big deal that I caught on to back then were the one another's, and that's one thing that I've just held on to as a Black Sheep, and a fairly new Black Sheep. You know, I've been in for a couple years now, but the one another's is what I'm going to attribute a lot of this to, is just because if you're serving, that's a good way to get to know people, get to know your chapter, your dealership, other bikers in the community, and it's just the best way to get to know people, I believe, is just serve and just be a one another.
For those that are listening in, the one another's appear in our mentorship, and basically it's all the scriptures that tell us to love one another, care for one another, serve one another, confess your sins to one another, submit to one another. I mean, it goes on and on and on. But the Bible telling us how we're supposed to treat each other, and I just want to tell you, from what I've seen of this chapter, they've got the one another's down pretty good.
I want to answer that question. Let me answer that question. I realized that wasn't the question, but the original question. And I really felt like we were able to get our Hog chapter involved at that rally in Crooked River Ranch. And, you know, you're seeing the dividends of us getting that Hog chapter involved in our rally at Crooked River. Jack and Lisa are now Black Sheep. KJ's now a Black Sheep, and Mike and Kathy, him and his wife, are Black Sheep now. Those all those people came out of the Hog chapter and were Hog members before they actually became Black Sheep, and that's exciting. I mean, that's just it's kind of unusual, I think, to have someone come out of Hog and become a Black Sheep. So we really have been able to reach our Hog chapter and been able to actually get people involved. We do have a kind of a neat thing in that a lot of our Hog chapter members are believers, and you don't see that in a lot of areas. But we live in a conservative community, and the east side of Oregon is a conservative community, unlike the west side, and so we do have a lot of believers in our Hog chapter, and it really helped us. You know, when they saw the dynamic of the national people and people from all over. We drew from 7 states at that rally, and they saw Black Sheep from outside of our area. They were really impressed, and they really wanted to get involved.
Oh, that's good. I have 2 questions for you. The one's a quick one. The lady standing behind you, Kelly, I believe it is okay. She just moved. I was curious if she was a mannequin, because she hasn't moved in the last week.
I'm trying to be invisible.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So she is. Okay, so she's real. Okay, all right.
She's our spokesperson. I'm just stepping in for her.
Now you know why we have 19 members.
Girl, you step in for everybody. It's my experience.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing I want to ask you guys, and I think this is an interesting thing for our chapters calling in, because I was talking to a chapter member the other day, and he says our chapter doesn't do anything, and I said, well, break that down for me. In a typical month, what do you do? Like, you know, maybe there's a meeting, maybe there's a hog meeting, maybe there's a ride, maybe there's a breakfast, what is a typical month? I know the winter gets goofy and everything, but what's a typical month look like for the Central Oregon Black Sheep?
Come on, Mike, Craig.
We do pretty much all what you said. We the Black Sheep meetings, hog meetings, rides, and we a lot of us are involved with our dealership. We're down there trying to get involved, and they just had a teddy bear run. They got a toy run coming up. We're already planning next year. We have a massive Easter egg hunt, but our Christmas party's coming up. But just staying involved with the dealership and getting rides together, short rides or long rides where everybody can be involved. But yeah, and we got such a great chapter, and we meet, you know, one another. Just call somebody up and meet them for coffee or whatever if we need to talk, and that's the beauty of it, is the availability of a lot of our people to just get together if they need to talk.
I think Mike Taft wanted to answer that question too.
There's another thing that we've done, or several things I should say that we've done. We do parades with the bikes. We've been in those. We go to other people's events like OVMA or CMA. We just recently, this last weekend, went to a car show. We handed out Bibles and tracts and then went out and talked to the people. People who like custom cars love motorcycles. So it's a win-win. We're also hitting some of the motorcycle shops in the area and going and talking to those folks as well. So trying to do some outreach.
So let me try asking it this way, because it sounds like you guys have a lot going on, and that can be a good thing or a bad thing, but no doubt that you guys are doing something right. That's why we got you on the show here. So if there's 30 days in a month, how many days would you say the group as a whole, not a couple of guys going for a ride, how many days out of 30 would you say the group comes together for any reason at all?
Part of that, how many do you consider a group? Because quite frankly,
it's an official thing that you said on the 12th we're going to do this.
So an official.
I would say we have at least 3 weekends out of the month that we have an official put your vest on and show up. And then I can't tell you how many times, and this is why Jack and I joined, how many times Bill has reached out to us and said, hey, let's just go have dinner. Let's go find out what your need is tonight. Or Exxon has done a mass text to all of the buddies and said, hey, you know, accountability, here's where I'm at. Where are you? What can we do? We got Bill, sorry, Bill, you're not involved in this one. We got Jack, Rod, and Brian on the phone to each other all the time, making sure that Bill doesn't know what we're doing. That's an inside joke there. But, we're constantly in contact with each other, not just with our vests on, but with our hearts as well. And I think that's part of why we are sticking together.
I got to spend some time there in Bill's home when I was up there, and he talked a lot. And the reason why.
What? You know what? I got a patch that says I have the right to remain silent, but I lack the ability.
I have it too.
Well, number one, you're not capable of remaining silent.
Either.
Number two, the reason why he called you up and ask you guys out to dinner and stuff is because Bill is lonely.
He just wants to hear his voice.
Whoa.
Okay, so now there's the other side of the story is you guys have obviously had some challenges along the way.
Oh yeah.
Things that have been a real snag, a real downer. May have been something that you caused yourself, but may have just been something that was not your fault at all. What are some of the bumps in the road you've had that you can share with the listeners?
Well, I want Mike Taft to address this. Mike and me are the old guys in this chapter, and I mean, how long have you been a Black Sheep, Mike?
10 years.
And I would patch 4 months after Mike. we're a new chapter. I mean, most of our members are go around the room. What 2 weeks you've been a Black Sheep?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
I'm August.
August.
2.5 years.
Mike,
1 year.
Year and yeah.
a little over a year,
and a half.
and we have
Yeah.
one that isn't a
Year and a
Black
half,
Sheep yet, and KJ's a year and a half. So answer that question, Mike, and then I'll answer it, and then I'll tag team it.
Hi, Cap. You go first.
Give me the question again, because
What's the biggest
What's
challenge?
the biggest challenge. Oh, okay.
What are some? What
I gotta tell you, this is a no-brainer, and it's something we all struggle with. I think the church struggles with it. And I don't know why we do. I think it's just because God, we're just people. We're human. I'm gonna talk about Pendleton Bike Week. We went to Pendleton Bike Week this year, and a bunch of us, and we got there, and boy, everything just was not working right. I took a bunch of sound equipment, and so I trailered my bike, and I couldn't get my RV set up properly, and it was 105 degrees.
Let them know we were all camped together.
We were all camped together, and boy, it was a recipe for disaster. And we got on each other's nerves, and there was a disagreement in the camp, and
It was all Brian.
It was all Brian.
He needs Jesus.
Well, it wasn't really me. Basically, when I got there, it was already happening, and I just told them they all need Jesus. So,
And
I brought the peace.
And so anyway,
Yes.
I must say Exxon was the guy that came forward and said, look, I feel like he was the guy that
Called us out.
called us out and was honest about how he felt, and so we were able to apologize to each other and sit down and put it behind us. And that's what we struggle with, I think, is getting along. And it's not the only thing we struggle with, but I think it's something when you have a large group. There's a lot of different personalities. There's a lot of different dynamics, and it's easy to get offended. It's easy to get sideways. But I will say this: at Pendleton Bike Week, because of Exxon's willingness to step out and say, "Look, I feel offended here," we were able to apologize to him and put things right, and
Quickly.
we finished that weekend strong. And we accomplished everything I think God wanted us to accomplish at that motorcycle rally. In fact, the promoter said, man, you guys are above and beyond what we've ever experienced as far as help for that rally. And so that was a really encouraging thing for me as a president, to watch my chapter go through a situation where people were at each other's throats and be able to put that behind us and finish strong for the weekend. So that's been a real challenge for us. And it's an ongoing challenge. It doesn't, it's something that continues to be a problem. Not that we have anything going on right now, or, Lisa's after Facebook Live, she's going to kill me.
Yeah.
But at
It's
the
okay.
same time, I think it's something that we have to constantly it's a constant battle.
But I hear two things there that are really encouraging for me that I want the other listeners to hear. It makes total sense that you guys would be in a difficult situation. It's hot, it's dirty, it's a lot of work, you're a long way from home, you're lacking in sleep and everything else. And so you start to get on nerves. That's common. That sounds absolutely normal. Now, for Exxon, and I know Exxon well, for him to step up and to take the risk of speaking the truth in love and saying, hey guys, this isn't right. Number one, that's the first really bright light that I see. And the second bright light is that is classically the opportunity for everybody to tear into Exxon and eat him alive.
It happens all the time, buddy.
But it didn't happen this time, and it's like people don't speak the truth in love very well, and people don't receive it very well. And you guys did it both very well. And he was there as the voice of reason. He was the voice of the Spirit, and you guys responded to that and finished the weekend well. I'm very proud of you. That's very cool.
Hey, Marty, I just want to say something,
Hey,
Bill.
we should just probably switch it
Pendleton
up.
Bike Week, KJ and I weren't a part of that chaos. I just want
They
to
were
let you know,
hiding.
we were too busy with the worker bees setting stage, and I want to thank the Tri-City chapter people of Spokane and when
Yes.
all those guys,
Steve
Steve and Bam Bam, all those guys, man, that we were too busy working to where
Carrie.
we were out of the chaos, man. So
Yeah,
know,
those two were
so-
innocent.
yeah, but we all love each other, man. So it's all good.
Yeah.
But
I think we should switch it up for some questions and
Yeah.
rotate chairs.
Okay.
oh, I'm good back here.
Well, no, have,
KJ get up there.
no, I don't want to be up there. No, this
I mean,
I don't
They want us to
be
get
on
out
there.
right here.
They want us to
everybody-
get out of the chair,
Oh, I
but
can
they don't
get
want to
that.
get in the
Well,
chair.
you get KJ's way, man.
Yeah,
I know.
Back
Back
up
over by the
there front
farm.
and center.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to have a meltdown and an argument right here?
Yeah.
No, we're gonna.
We're all
tease-
good, man.
We're gonna tease each other.
Yeah.
I-
We're just gonna lay hands on each other.
I've been looking at the comments. I don't know if you've been able to look at them online, but I haven't seen anything in the way of questions coming in from other guys. I hope they're listening because I think you guys really have done a lot of really good things.
It really is exciting to have a chapter growing. I mean, let's face it, we've exploded in the last couple of years, and it just seems like God continues to bring really great people to this chapter. Brian is a former pastor. I mean, we've got a lot of great people in this chapter, and it shows that our dealership, I mean, they are really. Yeah, I think you can speak to that, Lisa. Lisa's, I mean, if you want something at the dealership, you go to this lady.
I'm the dealership whisperer. Don't tell anybody. Love you.
But it's only in our dealership. It's nowhere else.
Yeah, right.
So if you want something, you're gonna come here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I noticed with our dealership is not only is the dealership backing the Black Sheep up, which you saw when they had Joe's memorial there. The other thing is the Quahog members have embraced Black Sheep, and they aren't just watching us. They're engaging us. They're asking us to be a part of their activities. They're watching. They're watching every move we make.
Why do they want you guys involved?
Because we're real. Because we're the same people with these vests on as we are with these vests off, and they see it.
Yeah.
They see it. We treat them the same. We love them where they are. We don't care. We've got a couple of them that they don't want us to pray with them, but we sneak behind their backs and do it anyway. We've got some that they're not sure that they really think we're real, but then they watch us and they come back, and we had one even say, "Those guys are real. They're real. They're the same people in this building as they are out of this building." And I think that that's a key. Arnie made a great point just this weekend. He said that we're a body. And I can tell you right now that Jack and Mike, Jack's not here, he's working tonight, their feet, they'll walk anywhere. And Marty, they'll walk across the bathroom even if it's corny. The other thing is Bill's hands. He'll walk out there and, he'll reach out. We've got the brains. KJ's our brain. We've got the heart. Junior's our heart. I mean, we've got all the parts. And it's just making them work together.
Well, I gotta ask this. What part of the body are you?
The mouth.
Duh.
I didn't want to say it.
I share.
She listens. She's ears.
Marty.
My experience over the last 20 years with Black Sheep is that 10 to 12 is usually our most effective. That's kind of like a sweet spot where a chapter is really strong, and I think it's like I almost don't need to do this, but I want you guys just to be aware of it. When chapters get your size, it gets even more difficult these times when you go away, and you just start to get on each other's nerves because when you have two people in a room talking, there's one line of communication. When you add a third person, it goes up to like 9 lines of communication.
Yeah.
And when you go up to 4, it just gets exponentially bigger. Now, I'm not suggesting that you divide your chapter or anything like that. I'm just saying, really, you guys have done a great job of being sensitive, and I just pray that you'll continue to do that. It may take a reorganization of who's doing what or whatever, but I don't know. You guys are doing a terrific job.
Well, that's what we're doing, Marty. We just had a meeting this Sunday about next year, and I kind of coined a phrase, and I really feel like it fits our chapter: divide and conquer.
Mhm.
We need to go in more than one direction. Because we are a large chapter, we can do that. We don't need 19 black sheep on a hog ride, for crying out loud.
Thank you.
We would dwarf our hog chapter if we did that, because we normally get 8 to 15 bikes on a hog ride. And so, if there's 3 black sheep on that hog ride, and that's something that Mike did this last weekend. We went on the hog ride after the hog meeting, and he was out at doing a booth at Dave Jones's church and at the car show. And so I really feel like this next year, we want to cover some other areas. We want to help some of the other chapters in Oregon and which we did this year, but we want to be really effective next year and really get out to some other things and kind of divide and conquer, because we've got the manpower to do it. And so we don't need to be, all doing the same thing. And I think, that doesn't mean that anybody's more important than the other. It's just that we can accomplish more things if we can diversify it and not just do hog, because there are other motorcycle groups in the area, and there's other things to do.
Oh, you guys that are not in this chapter and you're just you're online here and you're looking at it, I hope you're hearing this. I think they said a couple things that are really important that I've seen across the country. Number one is if you feel in any way, doesn't matter how many people there are, if you feel like your hog chapter is if they feel like they're being smothered, if you hear things like, where'd all these black sheep come from? We've even heard it in Temecula. What are they trying to do? Take over? If you hear anything like that, back off. Even if you say, well, all we're doing is showing up. It's not about what you're doing. It's about what they're feeling. And if you hear anything like that, listen to what these guys are saying. Like, there's about 20 guys from Hog going on the hog ride. Let's pick 5 of us that want to go, or 4 of us that want to go. And then, like you also said, I'm just pointing this out, Billy. This is all what you guys are talking about. I'm just wanting it to shine for the others, And then Mike goes someplace else and does something else that goes on, or maybe someone just stays back and hangs around the dealership, helps and cleans up after the hog meeting, or maybe somebody who's been to the last 5 events in a row goes home and mows his lawn or takes a nap, and you don't get burned out. And you've got a great strategy, and I want you just to encourage you to keep that up, because that is so good, so smart, so wise.
I think one of the other things that's really a benefit for our chapter is our dealership really supports Hog, and they also really support us as Black Sheep. And what I mean by that is, on Saturday after the hog meeting, one of the owners made a comment and he said, well, what are you guys doing tomorrow? And we're like, well, we do our meeting the day after co-hog meeting. And he's like, oh, okay. Because, the back room's open. It'd be really great if you guys would come here.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And from this owner, he's kind of a fickly guy. He's a great guy, but he can come across a little brash and a little rough, but
He's a cusser.
yeah. But the thing is, and it was on his heart to offer that up to us. So that's pretty amazing.
That's very cool. That's very cool. I want you guys to do something before I sign off here.
Okay.
I'm looking at the screen, and there's a delay. There's a delay between our talking and what I'm looking at. That's why when you can't be watching the show live if it's like in the other room. So what I want you to do, I'm seeing you guys. I know you know this. You're blessed with a great leader in Bill Reed.
Yeah.
I want you guys. I want all of you just to reach over and every one of you. I want you to give him a noogie. Go ahead, right now. Give him a noogie. Just reach in there and give him a hug. I want you to.
I will get back at you.
We don't like him at all.
I will get back at you.
Oh, now I'm watching that. Now I'm just now seeing it. That's good.
Yeah. He gets nothing but respect from all of us all the time.
Right?
100%.
Oh, trust me, there is no respect in this chapter.
That's right.
Baloney.
They don't know what the word means.
Bill, all is fair in love and war, my friend.
Let me suggest this. Can I pray you guys out of this? You did a great job tonight.
You sure can.
Father, I want to thank you for Central Oregon chapter. I'd ask that you'd give us 100 more chapters just like them. And I pray that as they grow, they would meet the challenge and overcome the challenges. I pray that they would accomplish everything that you've put on their heart to do. I pray that they would continue to grow, but not just in numbers. I pray that they would grow in people coming to Christ and grow in seeing prodigals coming back to Christ. I pray they would grow in their love for you and their love for one another and their love for Hog. And God, I'm going to ask you to do what you're already doing, and that's just bless their socks off. And thank you for them. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank
Goodbye. We love you guys.
you. We love you.
Love you guys too.
See ya.
Hey, don't forget, Bill, when you're done with this, be sure to push the thing that says promote or whatever it is.
Post.
Post, yeah. Make sure you post it. That way it'll stay.
Be sure we post it. Okay.
Thanks, Rod
All right.
Meyer.
Love you, Rod.
See you guys.
Hi, Matt. Love you, Matt.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Marty.
If you end this video now, you'll be able to close if you want to say choose.